Microsoft's Windows Commercial Specialist for Asia. He's been with Microsoft in the OEM team, which is now called the Device Partner Sales team, for about 7 years, but at Microsoft itself for almost 20 years. So in other words, he's a bit of a guru when it comes to device sales and all things Microsoft. Now, one of the key reasons we're bringing you this webinar today is that more than half of the devices in New Zealand today cannot upgrade to Windows 11. And with the support for Windows 10 ending just over a year away, that leaves our customers exposed. So things like no more security patches, cybersecurity insurance cover, application compatibility, amongst other things. So Mitch's talk today is going to cover 3 things: the device refresh opportunity around Windows 11, how the conversation with customers around Windows 11 has evolved, and on-device AI in Windows. Then, of course, the urgency that it should create within your partner network to upgrade. Look, there's a wealth of knowledge in the presentation, links in the slides, but don't let that distract you from the messaging, because they'll be sent out in the coming week. So as well as the link to today's recording as well, which Kaz is recording for us right now. So please share it with other colleagues if you think they'll benefit from it. We've also got time for a Q&A, which can be accessed via Slido. So please try and refrain from putting any questions within the chat here. And with that said, I'll hand over to Mitch.
Thank you very much, Blair. There's the, if you want to quickly just grab the Slido link using the QR code to throw your questions in. We'll be answering those at the end. But yeah, thanks so much. Really great pleasure to be here with you virtually. As Blair said, I've got a number of different titles, some of them more pleasant than others, but Windows Commercial Specialist for Asia is kind of my title at the moment. It means essentially I am a partner-facing aid, so I work with partners across our device partner ecosystem to help all of our partners be able to articulate the value prop of Windows 11 in a commercial environment. But I'm also a specialist for Microsoft sellers to sort of rope in and wheel in front of customers. So I'm partner-facing and customer-facing, so I do get to sort of enjoy the best of both worlds in that sense. As Blair quite correctly pointed out, I'm going to give you some clarity around the important dates as well as the opportunities surrounding Windows 11 as well as Windows 10 end of support. That second section is not about me telling you how to sell. You sell, I'm sure, way better than I do. It's about me just sharing some of my learnings from conversations I've had with customers. What I'll do is finish by covering some of the innovation around AI and how it's changed the device landscape. I did see a question there just quickly about Slido, so I'm just going to quickly throw that back on the screen for just a couple of seconds there, if that's okay. There you go, and Cass has put it in the chat. Thank you so very, very much. Awesome, let's kick off. So firstly, Microsoft has announced and confirmed, there was speculation that it might push out, we've confirmed that Windows 10 end of support is October 14, 2025. While Windows 10 devices will still work beyond that date, end of support means we will no longer provide any tech support nor any updates or security patches for Windows 10. Oh, by the way, as Blair mentioned, this deck is full of hyperlinks. So where you see the word page info here underlined, that's a hyperlink. You should be able to click through that and learn other things, other elements, if you're not familiar with things at your own pace later on. But after October 14 next year, customers will either be paying for extended support, which I'll cover in a sec, or face potential risks. The obvious risks being centered around IT security and data breach. Any new vulnerabilities around Windows 10 after this date will not be broadly patched by Microsoft, which could potentially lead to security issues, exposing organizations to malicious actors who could steal data, manipulate systems, applications, network, and more. Data loss, of course, can also lead to consequences like financial losses to the company, as well as individual directors and organisations. I know Australia's got legislation around director personal liability. I know New Zealand is looking to replicate some of that legislation to make directors personally liable for data breach. But also there's, customer trust, customer trust is betrayed when an organisation has a data breach and an individual's information is just out there on the dark web. Some other potential issues for customers who could choose to stay on an unsupported operating system could be things like compliance violations. So Industries such as the healthcare industry, finance industry, have specific regulations around IT systems. An unsupported operating system could actually be in breach of some of the industry-specific regulations. Loss of insurance cover. Most, if not all, cybersecurity insurance policies require a supported operating system, among many other IT safeguards, to remain valid. Contractual obligations. Unsupported operating system in a company's supply chain can actually create vulnerabilities that infect or could affect their entire partner network. Third-party breach from poor technology standards could be considered a breach of contract in many situations. As Blair mentioned, more than half of active commercial Windows 10 devices in New Zealand, so devices in New Zealand across all commercial customers in New Zealand, more than half of them cannot upgrade to Windows 11. 59%. Again, that hyperlink, if you're not familiar with what the minimum spec for Windows 11 is, that's that hyperlink there. So you can learn exactly what makes a Windows 11 eligible upgrade device. These are the devices that will be exposed in October next year, if not refreshed. To give you some context, this is about 950,000 devices that can't upgrade. And the average age of these devices, the 59% that can't upgrade, the average age of these devices is 6 years and 5 months. That's the average age of these devices, 6 years and 5 months, which dates them back to January 2018. So a lot of commercial customers sweating a lot of old assets when it comes to hardware. And I'm sure we're all familiar with what issues and end user experiences come from having an old device. What we don't want is for customers to associate those issues or those experiences with Windows. We don't want them associating those experiences or issues with that particular PC manufacturer. Certainly don't want them thinking that this is the experience or the issues associated with you as a service provider. We collectively don't want customers to explore other options, look outside of their current supply off the back of any of these experiences. By the same token, right now we have an opportunity to position Windows 11 with modern hardware and assume the role of a trusted advisor. And by that I mean being proactively addressing a customer's challenge around Windows 11 before the customer even knows it's a challenge. Use this moment in time to potentially expand your share of wallet and enable the modern workplace for customers, as hybrid meetings are still becoming a challenge for a lot of organizations to manage. As well as accelerating your customer's device refresh cycle, you can help your customer avoid the potential consequences that I just ran through of an unsupported operating system, or you can help your customer avoid paying the extended support costs, which are here. We announced back in April that it will cost $61 to extend support for each device for that first year after October 14, 2025. That cost then doubles in year 2 to $122, and then doubles again in that third year to $244 US per device. The process for extending support is also incredibly clunky. Your customers have to purchase effectively a 5x5 product activation key for each device in their organization and have to apply that key on each device. For customers that use Intune or Windows Auto Patch, we do give them a 25% discount, so that drops down to $45 per device or per user, up to 5 devices for year 1. Then it still doubles though, so it's $90 in year 2 and $180 in year 3. And it definitely is easier in the sense that customers can assign an extended support contract activation license through their portal, so no 5x5 key is necessary. But with current Intune penetration in New Zealand, the majority of customers looking to extend support will be doing so through that first option. Just as a little side note, education customers do get some reprieve. Edu extended support is $1 for the first year, $2 for the second year, and $4 for the third year. So we do give education customers a bit of a break. Then with option 3, extended support through Windows 365. So company-owned and company-managed Windows 10 devices via Intune accessing Windows 11 in the cloud through Windows 365 will automatically be activated to receive security updates without any additional steps. I don't see this as a common method for extending support on Windows 10 devices at all, but it is important to be aware of this option as well. So collectively, we don't want our customers to pay those extended support costs. We want them enjoying all the benefits of a modern device with a modern operating system. If we were to replace all of the 950,000 devices that can't upgrade to Windows 11, it would require a PC sales volume of over 3.7 times our current run rate of sales. With each month that passes without action from customers, that number gets bigger and bigger. And it's like, what Blair was mentioning before, that urgency. And we're going to start talking about urgency as a theme for quite a next chunk of this webinar. But with each month that passes and that number keeps getting bigger and bigger, the question mark that everyone's struggling to answer is how big will that number be in the months leading up to October next year? It'll look like a hockey stick. It will grow exponentially. What do you think that's going to look like from a supply perspective? Will we see the pandemic period Hunger Games style scramble for hardware? How will PC manufacturers prioritize markets in case of shortages like this? Will New Zealand be a priority market? Another factor here to think about is that the average age of all commercial devices, I talked about 6+ years for the devices that can't upgrade, but the average age of every commercial device right now in New Zealand, every commercial device, is 4.6 years, which means you may also start to see a demand increase from customers who purchased during that first year of the pandemic, also thinking about refreshing their hardware. In other words, there's likely to be a huge spike in demand, not only from Windows 10 end of support, but also refresh from the COVID-19 purchase that we saw back then. Shifting gear a little bit. So there's the device opportunity, and I'm sure you'll agree it's very difficult to ignore. But what I want to talk a little bit now more about is Windows 11 itself. And I'm going to share a bit about the conversation I'm having with customers at the moment. Like I said, I'm sort of half partner facing, half customer facing. And certainly over the last period of time, the conversation I've had with customers has shifted somewhat. It used to be, hey, here's Windows 11. Isn't it wonderful? Have you heard about all the features? Here's why it's great. Now, it's more about, yes, I know you have to go to Windows 11. Your migration is planned for next year. How can we bring that forward? How can we get you as a customer thinking about bringing your Windows 11 migration forward? We need to create some urgency. The reason for that is that most customers do not see urgency because they don't necessarily understand, or they underestimate how many devices they have to refresh themselves in order to migrate. I've lost count of how many conversations I've had with customers who think, I should be fine. I bought all of my devices 5 years ago, they should be fine. I don't have to refresh. I should be able to do an in-place update. And I can tell that they don't have that, or they do a technology assessment and learn that that is actually not the case. It's very common. And as you know, 59% of devices can't upgrade. So the math doesn't lie. There is going to be a number of customers who have a majority of their devices that need to be refreshed. So I'm not really selling Windows 11 anymore. Every customer I speak to knows they need to get to it. But I'm trying to always make sure that I insert a little bit of feature and benefit. I hate this feeling that customers are moving to Windows 11 begrudgingly because they have to. I kind of want to make sure that any conversation I have with a customer, I'm understanding their needs, their goals, their challenges, and I know which Windows 11 feature can actually enhance their experience. So give them a little bit of a positive feeling for moving towards this particular operating system. But many don't understand, even though we're 2.5 years into Windows 11's life, many still don't fully understand any of the benefits of Windows 11 over Windows 10. Again, there might be a lot of phrases or features in this particular slide that you're not familiar with. A lot of them there are hyperlinks. So by all means, click on these and you'll be able to learn a little bit about some of these features. So I think it's really important to at least understand the pillars of Windows 11, the elevator pitch around how Windows 11 was designed to address the challenges faced in that post-pandemic hybrid workplace world. Things like security, what's new in Windows 11, things like smart screen, presence sensing, Pluton, mandating TPM 2.0, and then what kind of carried over from Windows 10 and was turned on by default. What is it from a management perspective? Giving IT decision makers peace of mind to migrate, being able to manage a mixed fleet of Windows 10 and Windows 11, certainly easier than when it was 7 and 10. Also showing new features like giving IT decision makers or the IT team the ability to provide remote help within the operating system. Also organizational messages through the taskbar, really, really good feature. And then the one that most users saw, which is how does it empower end users to do their best work, enhancing end user productivity, regardless of the end user's individual skill level, and also being able to enable users to do their best work regardless of where they were working. Lots of features in there that assisted people working in kitchens, hallways, wherever people were working during the pandemic. Then you combine all of the modern OS stuff with the modern device stuff. So, improved security, not only TPM 2.0, but biometrics, secured core PC, lower total cost of ownership. There's a study by TechIsle, again, a hyperlink there that will take you to it, that showed 3x lower cost to buy a new device than maintaining a 4-plus-year-old device. And as we know, in New Zealand, the average age of device is even more than that. So that total cost of ownership will look even better when you combine a new device or compare a new device to an older one. Improved productivity and collaboration. I'm talking about better mic, better camera, better battery life, quicker boot up times. And then employee satisfaction is an important one, critical actually for attracting and more importantly, retaining talent as our workforce continues to get younger and younger. I feel like a dinosaur working here at Microsoft on a daily basis. As we have now, as I said, 2.5 years roughly of Windows 11 deployment under our belts, we can see the impact it's having for business. Forrester Consulting ran a study, and as you can see, the benefits are notable across security and productivity, both from the perspective of the employee, but also the IT department. They are seeing benefits. So migration to Windows 11 not only helps customers avoid all the risks and all the costs associated with staying on 10 that I've kind of gone through, but it does provide tangible benefits right across the organization. And I genuinely believe it's important to be across, like I said, the elevator pitch, the 30-second pitch as to what that looks like. To be honest, though, all the Windows 11 feature and benefit pitch in the world isn't going to create that urgency on its own. To break the complacency, to create that urgency, you'll have to talk to this date, plus give advice on what an unsupported operating system can lead to. Some of those security, financial challenges that I talked about. Give advice on this date, plus provide some guidance around the average number of devices per customer that might need refreshing. Just use the stat, more than half of commercial devices in New Zealand are ineligible for a Windows 11 upgrade. Talk to this date, plus share insights into what supply might look like as the demand explodes leading into October 2025. You're partnering with your customer in a way to jump ahead of the queue. Talk to this date, plus raise awareness of what the extended support costs look like. I doubt very much your customers have seen those extended support costs. I doubt they're glued to the Windows blog like I am. So you're, again, adding value by helping them understand what the extended support costs are going to look like. And it is, as it says on the screen there, 468 days from today. That is how many days between now and October 14, 2025. And again, because we've got 2.5 years of Windows 11 deployments to study, another key piece of data that we have is an understanding on how long the average migration takes from Windows 10 to Windows 11. We were very, very vocal as we launched Windows 11, talking about how the Windows 10 to Windows 11 migration is nothing like the heavy lift that 7 was to 10. It was quite horrendous, actually, going from 7 to 10. And again, a lot of it was made worse by customers leaving it to the last minute. We've almost done too good a job in saying Windows 10 to 11, think of it more as an update than an upgrade. But even having said that and knowing what is involved, there are still 440 days on average in terms of start to finish around a migration time period. And as you just saw on the previous slide, that's only slightly less than the amount of days between now and October 14 next year. Obviously, the most important consideration here is hardware. Like I've said, many customers are simply not aware of their existing fleet's eligibility for an in-place upgrade. Helping your customer assess their hardware is a crucial, I can't think of a better word, first step in establishing a migration plan. As soon as a customer understands exactly what they're sitting on, it is the first piece of a Jenga puzzle, or it's a first step towards understanding what the rest of their migration timeline looks like. Customers can use Intune. They can use Config Manager, SCCM. They can use a whole host of third-party tools to assess their hard-grade eligibility across their fleet. You can click on that link, learn how to assess PC eligibility here. Click on that to go to a Microsoft website that can give you a lot more information on how to do that as well. And of course, we know it is a tough economic environment, and budgeting won't be an easy conversation for the IT department if they find a majority of devices need replacing. I would argue, though, that the earlier an organisation can understand and internally discuss their hardware purchasing needs, the more likely provisions can be made to ensure all end users are covered. Flip it on the other end. If a conversation between IT and a finance department of an organisation is happening in July, August or September next year, that's going to be a horrible conversation. That's going to be really tough. A, because there might not be devices going around, and B, it might not be provisioned in that financial year's budget. So I think a little bit, sorry, that link disappeared too fast. I do apologise. I did see that little chat pop up. I'll just quickly go back. I'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You will get a copy of this slide deck, by the way, at the end. So don't worry. You will get those links later on. But yes, I think again, almost partnering with the purchase decision maker at your customer, helping them position the conversation internally is another value add that you can provide to your customer, definitely. We have some assets that can help that conversation along. So, helping your customer be able to position internally that the cost of change can be less than the cost of staying the same in this kind of tough economic environment can actually be the game changer. It can be the one little thing that puts us over the line. This total economic impact of Windows 11 report, again commissioned by Forrester, found that deploying Windows 11 can actually deliver a just under $2.5 million benefit over 3 years to an organisation, and a return on investment of roughly 250%. And that factors in elements like security breach costs that an organisation won't be faced with, cost savings from potential retirement of old software applications, IT management efficiencies, device deployment time savings, productivity benefits from the end user, as well as reduced productivity lost through device downtime. The one thing that report didn't take into consideration, because it was commissioned before we published the extended support costs, is the extended support costs. So the ROI looks even stronger if you're looking at the saving of $61 per device per year, or for the first year, for the fleet of hardware that you have. Now, this study was done on a number of customers with an average seat size of 5,000, which I get is quite large, and not every customer that we talk to is going to be in that kind of vicinity. But the link down the bottom there is effectively an opportunity for any customer to find out how this methodology or what these cost savings can actually mean to them. So a customer can effectively take these findings and apply it to their own organization. So a customer can follow that link, and they can punch in a whole bunch of different variables, such as, the org seat size, what their projected adoption rate of Windows 11 will be over time, how many IT staff are focused on device security and patches, number of help desk requests per year, what's the cost of a help desk ticket, all of those sorts of things. So again, if you're partnering with the purchase decision maker in your customer, you're that trusted advisor. You're not selling them, you're helping them address challenges. Provide these kinds of tools, and it potentially can accelerate the difficult conversations around internal finance. Another really important consideration is application compatibility and remediation in the unlikely event of an issue. And a similar kind of sense to what I was talking about with the hardware budgetary challenges, learning an important application in an organization has a Windows 11 compatibility issue now versus in the weeks or months leading into Windows 10 edge support will have a drastic impact on the ability to find and implement a solution. But it's actually also important to know that Microsoft takes a lot of responsibility for this. App Assure is a service that's been around since 2018, and Microsoft's not great at promoting this service, unfortunately. We're a great technology company, not a great marketing company at times. This is a service that's available to any commercial Microsoft 365 customer. Effectively, this service can help unblock an application on Windows 11. It actually now extends to unblocking applications that are struggling with Windows on ARM using Copilot Plus PC, which I'll talk to in a minute. But as you can see, we're at roughly 99.7% application compatibility rate between Windows 10 and Windows 11, with over 800,000 apps that we've already looked at and tested. This service has identified and rectified issues that have helped unblock over 90 million end devices that can, with this work, go from not being able to move to an organization not being able to move to Windows 11 to being able to migrate to Windows 11. So by all means, again, aka.ms/AppAssure is the link there for your customers to use. Moving into the third section of today's webinar, how are we looking for time? Oh, good, we're doing well. I'd like to talk about what's been happening from an AI on device perspective, because to say the least, there's been a lot of late. There's been a lot of conversation from a lot of manufacturers, silicon providers. It's important for us to cover here because and it's not through any fault of any individual, we're quite bad at articulating some of the details. I've seen some confusion, and I want to try and make sure that I'm addressing some of that in this session. So what you're about to see, I suppose, is how Microsoft is changing the positioning of AI on the device. But AI in Windows is definitely not a new thing. The AI journey started back in 1993, actually, when the Microsoft Agent app enabled interaction with an animated character in Windows and Office. If anyone wants to just throw into the chat maybe one of the infamous names of one of those characters, there's no prize other than undying love from me as to what one of those characters or the famous character may have been. By all means do so. Or close, Cass, that was the shape of the person, but had a very specific name. There you go. Everyone's coming. Yes, exactly right. Clippy. I quite like the little Einstein character myself, but yes, that was AI. Absolutely AI. When Windows 11 launched in 2021, we saw an exponential expansion of AI innovation, such as Windows Ink, Microsoft Search, Microsoft Defender, and then a whole heap of stuff in the video conferencing experience. Again, AI in the video conferencing experience to enable productivity and collaboration when people were working in their kitchens or busy parts of the house where noise and background could be a distraction for good collaboration. In 2023, Windows 11 added even more intelligent functionality with live captions, narrator with natural voice, AI-powered recommendations into Start, enhanced phishing protection, and smart app control for IT. We also released a new set of Copilot experiences within Windows. Copilot in Windows is your AI assistant that combines natural language, so you don't need to think like a computer, you can use your own natural language, with Microsoft AI models to perform tasks. Some of those tasks you would normally need to go to control panel or settings for. You can find information, you can create content. It's a powerful and convenient feature that will help you, me, everybody work smarter, faster, and easier. For commercial customers, Copilot in Windows offers commercial data protection, where if you sign in with your work account, your Entra ID, or it used to be called Azure Active Directory, your Entra ID, chat and search data is not saved, not accessed, not viewed by Microsoft, nor is it used to train the AI model. So you effectively have an incredible search functionality, incredible amount of AI across your intranet, across your SharePoint, across your own internal data, and nothing more. We announced in late May that Copilot in Windows will become a standalone application. So just going back a slide, you can see here, where's my pointer? There it is. You can see it currently, and for most devices still, the Copilot app is a sidebar application or a sidebar execution or experience. What we announced in May is that it will become a standalone application, which gives you the ability to resize, snap, maximize, go full screen, giving the user a lot more flexibility. You can also drag and drop. You can insert or copy files into the Copilot dialog box and save reading time by asking Copilot to summarize. You could even drop in a budget spreadsheet, for example, and ask Copilot to predict the next month's expenses based on historical data. It is a powerful tool. You can search documents for specific phrases. You can transcribe audio files and analyze data. Copilot in Windows is rolling out on existing Windows 11 and Windows 10 devices. And that's an important thing to call out. Copilot in Windows is on Windows 10 as well. And that's for a couple of reasons. One, we've got over 1 billion Windows 10 active devices in the world, and we want to make sure that all of those customers that are using Windows enjoy using Windows and want to stay using Windows when they decide to refresh their device. But it can be on Windows 10 devices because Copilot is activated and executed in the cloud. So there's no hardware requirement for Copilot to actually do what it needs to do. And what I also love is that when you want to extend the Copilot experience beyond your PC, some of the elements like the Bing chat and also Edge Copilot, our browser Copilot, are also available on iOS and Android devices. So you can actually enjoy a Copilot experience across multiple screens. On traditional PCs, AI workloads, things like background blur and noise suppression, things like that are either handled in the cloud or they're handled using a combination of a CPU and a GPU. Now I want to talk about some new categories of PC that can take these sorts of things even further. In January this year at CES, we announced the AI PC. The AI PC is defined as a PC with an NPU, as well as a dedicated Copilot key on the keyboard. NPUs will make vast improvements to performance for any software application with on-device AI requirements. It's a very important thing to remember, with software applications with on-device AI requirements. Intel Core Ultra, AMD Ryzen AI, Intel Core Ultra, you've probably heard of Media Lake, that's the code name, but those are the CPUs that include NPU. What is an NPU, you might ask? Well, I'm glad you did. A neural processing unit. It's essentially a specialized processor designed for accelerating AI workloads. And the benefits of an NPU, for example, local acceleration. So for, again, NPU-enabled software applications, the NPU will offload that computation from the CPU or GPU. That offloading results in faster processing, faster response times, but also much lower power consumption. And again, for software applications that can utilize the NPU, having that AI capability on device can actually enhance the privacy and security, because that workload is no longer necessarily going to the cloud. It can actually be done on the device itself. To give you a little bit more perspective around how NPU can improve performance, this is actually on the left my exact scenario right now. Although I don't have background blur on at the moment, so apologies for that. I am sitting in front of a white background. I thought it would be kind of useless. But background blur and noise suppression in Teams on a traditional PC can really impact CPU performance. Any of you that have been on Teams calls all day, sometimes you'll know it because your fan will be churning a fair bit because your device will be getting quite warm. If you're doing it out and about, you'll notice straight away because your battery life will be quite poor. Because a lot of it is because it's doing all of that AI stuff from the CPU. Of course, your CPU will also be churning a bunch of other background applications. That a lot of things run in the background. Not many of us will close everything down just for a Teams call or a Zoom call. But you can see on the right how the NPU takes control of not only the background blur, but all the other elements of Studio Effects, all of the really cool stuff that comes with Studio Effects in Windows 11, which I'll talk to in a sec. The impact that it has on PC performance and power consumption, aka battery life, are quite pronounced. Studio Effects, like I said a second ago, is a feature of Windows 11 that can only run on an NPU-enabled device. Studio Effects promises significant improvements for background blur and noise suppression for applications such as Teams and Zoom. The more obvious feature enhancement, though, is the natural eye contact feature. And you've probably been in many meetings, many virtual meetings, maybe webinars like this, where the speaker is clearly reading a bunch of notes. Maybe they're looking down at a page of notes. They're not really making any eye contact with the audience. They're not connecting with the audience. You start to feel a sense of distraction because you think either the person is not interested in making a connection, and connection is critical, especially in virtual meetings. But also you start to question the person's authenticity. Does this person actually know what they're talking about, or are they just reading a whole bunch of notes? I'm going to show you what the natural eye contact feature looks like. So just watch her eyes. So you see how it lifted? I'm just going to show you again. So she's reading notes, reading. With NPU and Studio Effects, it actually lifts the eye level up closer to where the camera is, again, just to create that sense of connection, that sense of authenticity. So yeah, it's subtle, but actually has a very great impact on the effectiveness of virtual meetings. As I said earlier, the other feature that defines an AI PC apart from the NPU is here, the Copilot key. So the first time we've changed a Windows keyboard in roughly three decades, so about 30 years. It is a shortcut to Windows. Copilot in Windows, the AI assistant that works across your entire PC. It's not an M365 Copilot shortcut. It is a Copilot in Windows shortcut. So just to be mindful of what exactly that does. So that's the AI PC. That's a device that's been in market for a few months now. Like I said, we announced it at the beginning of the year. You started to see them filter into market around sort of April, May. They're in market now. Media Lake is probably the most commonly known one from Intel. From all of our manufacturing partners, they've all got Media Lake devices. That's the AI PC. On Tuesday, the 21st of May, Microsoft announced another new class of PC, the Copilot Plus PC. Let's take a quick look. Oops, sorry. So there you go, Copilot Plus PC. Probably start to see them coming into the market anytime now. But just like we had a definition for AI PC, Copilot Plus PCs have a system requirement minimum as well. The most important being 40 TOPS. You can see that at the top there. The NPU itself can generate 40 TOPS, or trillions of operations per second, out of the NPU performance. So you think about what an AI PC can generate. The NPU itself can do about 10, maybe 15 trillion operations per second. Not quite powerful enough to do some of those new features that you just saw there, like recall, live translation from over 40 languages into English. It really needs that kind of AI grunt on the device to be able to deliver those kind of features. you'll see sometimes some manufacturers, and I don't really love this, but I'm okay with it, I suppose. They'll talk about tops, 40 plus tops, 50 tops, 100 tops, but they're talking about the trillions of operations per second coming out of the CPU, GPU, and NPU combined. That's not how necessarily the AI processing will benefit. This device has 40 plus tops minimum coming out of the NPU on its own. So you can sort of get a sense of just how powerful this class of devices can deliver on AI workloads. So these performances, it's required to light up those features that you just saw. These devices are launching now, like I said, with advanced Snapdragon X Elite ARM processors from Qualcomm. Copilot Plus PCs with Intel and AMD processors will follow later on this year. Here are some of the benchmarking callouts that we released at the event back in May that really talk to the performance as well as the battery life over and above the sort of exclusive experiences. You can see all of those there. It's probably interesting to note that we are benchmarking a lot against the MacBook Air M3 because that is an ARM architecture, and certainly one that Apple are doing a great job in talking about, the performance and the experiences that their devices can have. But you can see that Copilot Plus well and truly eclipses those kind of experiences and performances. So now that we have three flavors or three tiers of PC, the traditional, the AI, and the Copilot Plus PC, you're going to have to help your customers choose which was right for them. Choice, certainly we make no apologies about it. Choice is a feature of the Windows ecosystem. We cover the widest range of price points, form factors, manufacturer partners, silicon providers. We want to make sure that we cover the widest range of end user personas. That's always been a feature of Windows. Having said that, choice paralysis could be very real for your customer. So your experience, your expertise here is quite critical. The traditional PC on the left is what we've been selling now for years and years and years, and includes all the Windows 11 Pro innovation I covered towards the beginning of that session that had, the wheel and all the features down the left. So all of that sort of stuff is in a Windows 11 Pro PC. AI PCs, as I said, have been in market for a few months now, feature Intel Core Ultra and AMD Ryzen AI Silicon, as well as a Copilot key. These devices are fantastic for enhancing AI workloads from 300 odd software applications across the ecosystem. I'm talking about Adobe, DaVinci, Stable Diffusion. A lot of applications are being written and rewritten to take advantage of on-device NPU. These PCs are for creative people, definitely, from those sorts of applications. But anyone who spends a lot of time on a team call will benefit from an AI PC, again, because it offloads all of that noise, background blur, all of that kind of stuff. It offloads it from the CPU, and you will see a tangible benefit in terms of battery life and performance from those devices. And then on the right, Copilot Plus PCs are that revolutionary new class of PC. And these, devices are just hitting the market now with the Snapdragon Elite ARM processors from Qualcomm. Then Intel and AMD will have Copilot PCs sort of later on this calendar year. These PCs will enable features such as recall, which you saw in the video. It is coming soon. It was pulled just at the last minute out of the operating system at launch. We just want to make sure that it does everything that it needs to do and is as secure as we want it to be. So that's coming in a later update. A lot of co-creation tools, that live captioning again. Live caption English to English is in Windows 11 Pro PC on the left, but live captioning and live translation from 40 plus languages to English can only be done on a Copilot Plus PC. The audience that we've identified for these are AI early adopters, sure, but also what we would classify as knowledge creators, either the C-suite of an organization, head of marketing, head of sales, those kinds of people that can really benefit from these sort of devices. Over the next sort of period of time, we still expect the Windows Pro PC, that traditional PC on the left, we expect that to still make up the majority of PC sales volume. We think probably sort of 2/3 of the devices that we see sold across our market will be on that left category, maybe just under 1/3 the Windows AI PC, and then we do see, certainly in the interim, certainly in the short term, Copilot Plus PC being quite small, but we do see that ramping up over the next period of time. The thing that you probably notice across the top of all of those is Copilot via the cloud. And I just want to address that because I have heard several people make some assumptions. I have said the word Copilot now so many times, it's almost in danger of losing its meaning. But it's really important to understand that while the on-device AI workloads, such as studio effects, the eye contact stuff, the better background blur, all that, recall when it comes, live captioning and translation, all of the hundreds of applications that will use, like Adobe and DaVinci and all those that will use that on-device AI grunt, all of those are either enabled or accelerated via the NPU in an AI PC or a Copilot Plus PC. But I have to be clear, 100% of all of Microsoft's Copilots still require the cloud for the AI processing. In other words, AI PCs and Copilot PCs deliver incredible new performance, new experiences, new performance benchmarks, but they do not accelerate Copilot at all. I've heard many people make the assumption, and it's a fair assumption, that a Copilot Plus PC does some Copilot stuff on it. That is absolutely not the case. Just want to make sure that you're super clear on that. So the key takeaways as we sort of ramp to the end of the session, customers, in my view, must urgently assess their hardware readiness. Please be proactive. Customers are not coming to resellers, as far as I know, they're not coming to resellers asking for Windows 11 help. They're not even really thinking about it necessarily. The second thing, Windows 11 offers much more than just not being Windows 10. So, help your customers understand all the benefits of Windows 11 so they migrate with a much more spring in their step and a bigger smile on their faces. Copilot AI workloads are 100% performed in the cloud, regardless of the device's AI capabilities. And then the last one, NPU delivers new experience and performance enhancements to many different types of user profiles. Next steps. So I've got these links here. The first one takes you to what's called Device Partner Center. It is behind a firewall. It's not publicly available. So if you do click on this and you don't have access, you need to ask for access in the actual tool itself or in the portal itself. There's a plethora. There's so much content there. There's almost too much, actually. And I'm never going to suggest that you use a Windows 11 Microsoft created pitch deck to help a customer see the features and benefits. But you never know. You might actually find just a little nugget of information in there that could help you with a specific customer challenge. All of the stuff around the Copilot Plus PC launch, all of those links there where you can certainly learn a lot more. Certainly you can learn a lot more about Windows on ARM, how emulation now is incredibly improved based on Prism, which is a great emulation tool. So yeah, you can learn a lot more about those sorts of things in those links. If you do want to, or if you want your staff to sort of participate in your own self-guided, learn at your own pace online learning, that's the Expert Zone website. It's a tool for modular learning. You can earn accreditations and badges that can be added to your LinkedIn profile. So again, don't worry if I skip through this slide, you will get this slide deck to look at the QR code later. And this is where I now say thank you and I hand back over to Blair, who's going to facilitate some Q&A. Sorry, not that bit. Sorry. I went too far. I'm going to switch over now, actually, to the Slido page to see what kind of questions that we have. So, Blair, if you wouldn't mind letting me know when you can see that Slido page.
Got it. Hey, look, so the first question, thanks, Mitch. The first question we've got, is there a way we can recycle the old devices sustainably? So yes, there is. Here at Ingram Micro, we have a buyback for hardware. It doesn't end up in country, it ends up offshore and gets repurposed. So it can also act as a credit on the opportunity that you're trying to upgrade as well within your customer set. So reach out to your account manager or myself or one of the team here at Ingram Micro. Anyone here within the business should be able to help you on what that looks like. They are recycled sustainably. And like I said, it's a credit on the account to hopefully help you guys seal the deal with the Windows 11 upgrade. The second question we've got here is, which was in the chat as well. So thanks, Rob. Will Microsoft Defender continue to protect Windows 10 devices under extended support? Now, I know this was answered by Adam Saunders in the chat as well via Copilot, which is awesome. But Mitch, can you add any information to that?
What was that? What was Copilot's answer? I'm trying to see it in the chat.
You have to scroll up a little bit. There's a bit of
yeah, there's a lot of chat.
Bit of banter.
So, I mean, Defender is effectively an antivirus, an internet security package, right? It's not really. So the technical answer is no. So if you don't pay for extended support and continue to run Defender, no, because the support, the security vulnerabilities that are present in the operating system, that may be present in the operating or discovered by bad actors post October next year, won't be patched, and Defender won't protect against OS vulnerability. So technically, no, it will not. Defender still is a product and will continue to be a product, definitely. But it will, to answer that question in the chat specifically, will Defender continue to protect Windows 10 devices under extended support? If the customer pays extended support, yes. If the customer says, I'm not going to pay extended support because I've got Defender, no. And I did have a customer, this is quite scary, when I was talking about extended support, the customer actually said to me, I don't need to worry about that, I've got McAfee. I nearly fell off my chair, because that's really not how it works. An antivirus product is not a substitute for paying for extended support by any means.
Interesting comment. I think that's it for the questions. Do you want to flip back to the slide deck, Mitch, please?
Yep. Yes. I can. One moment, please. There we go.
Perfect. So
I'll go
look
to the right slide.
Great. Now, so the call to action here is to work with your customers on identifying what devices in their fleet aren't eligible to run Windows 11. So effectively a technology assessment for your customers. Look, we've got the single biggest device refresh opportunity ahead of us in the coming year. So I think we need to capitalize on that. Mind the end user site and asset data you have, look for devices that are Windows 10 that will not meet the criteria as per the links in Mitch's presentation for the upgrade. And I think that's a great way to start. With the end of support in October, you need to start proactively talking about it now so it's less of a surprise and break the complacency that we see sometimes in market. There probably, from a distribution perspective, there probably will be some constraints on product mid to late next year as we ramp up in that hockey stick for distribution. And the challenge is, how much stock will New Zealand get on a global scale? It's always a challenge, and we always fight for what we can. But there is some challenges around that for sure. Talk about application readiness. What are they running on site that may not run past next October when support runs out? Leverage the hardware buyback opportunities that I just mentioned. Like I said, we can help you out with that. Anyone at Ingram should have some information on that for you. So we do have a draw. So after this, we will do a draw with Cass, and these are thanks for attending. These are the prizes we'll be giving away. We also have a feedback form. Mitch, if you can just slide through to the next one.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. We've just got 3 questions, and we welcome the feedback. If you've got a lot out of today, we've seen some great thank yous and some comments in the chat here. But anything else you'd like to see in future would be super helpful as well. So just a few thanks. I'd like to thank Mitch and Lisa from Microsoft and all the vendors that have partnered to bring you this content today. So shout outs to Dell, HP, Lenovo, AMD, MSI, and of course Microsoft as well. And most of all, look, thanks for joining us today, and I hope you guys will walk away armed with the tools that will be engaging and create a sense of urgency in your customer sites. So with that said, thanks guys, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks everyone.